Hey, what's going on? This is just a quick video showing you how I get like just the base of um, the lesson of what I'm trying to do. So not much talking really. So this is a video, so I would actually separately um, record this video like I'm doing now, and then just upload it to YouTube for students. And then basically just look at the questions that they're trying to ask and just follow what it does. So here's a copy. And then I always label these as 0.1. GT. So again, as we get into a lot of chapters, I noticed that like numbering them this way, there started to be confusion. So that's why I started putting like the 2 letters, so geologic time. And then in the past, I've like used those vocabulary lists and make like little foldables where they fold the paper over in half and then have like a little open up chart for their vocabulary. I just stopped doing it. It was something good to do, but how much they actually like used and got out of it, I really don't know. Actually, I'm going to use this AR, FR. And I'm gonna take this video and shine it up, that section up later, but typically I barely ever do these. So this is the science probe, and I always just start off with 1.0. And then with this one, I actually put purple just because it matches. So you kind of see like a 1-to-1 that it matches in here. Sometimes I ask them why did they choose that answer, but a lot of kids just, they weren't doing it. It was really twisting arms and just kind of wasting more time. And I can just ask those 5 kids, hey, what were you doing? And they would just like tell me why they think so, but a lot of them probably don't have this sense of time, and I can find that out by just doing a poll in the conference. So that's it. That looks good for that section. Next section is probably going to be like a video that I gotta assign this. So we just make sure that this corresponds with with this. I'm just gonna put on June 1st. Oh, I don't even know when class ends. Ungraded. There's also like a little window here that'll like help you navigate. I never use it, but it's there. If you ever need to like write up things about like the lesson as far as the standards or any hints as far as like teaching, it's all in there. It's all in here. I mean, I've taught geology for just so many years, and so I'll peruse through it just to kind of give me like a little bit of sense. But I know the standards that they're trying to address, and I know the standards, and I know like the big idea that they're really trying to get to. But sometimes it's just reading over. It's just a good refresher. But when you go to those teacher notes, they tell you everything. So they're going to ask you, or you're going to be asking like kind of like this question, the big picture. And then you might want to bring that up like in the discussion. So I'm going to do a screenshot of this, which for me is the Windows Shift S. You might have to look and see what a screen snip looks like on a Mac. And they're not offering much zoom here, but I think I might just give them like a little prompt that just says how many different parts of the rock can you identify, trying to get them to identify these different layers. Looks like they really don't have any questions for you. Yeah, so in this, they're generally just trying to get a observation to be noticed. And again, this will tell you. And the purpose of these is really just to like invoke their curiosity. That's all you're really trying to do. And I started color coding them as far as higher order thinking skill questions. So, oops, not that quite so. This is just a thing I started doing recently. So it's just kind of like based on this Bloom's taxonomy. And there's like the newer, the older, just like a hot, whatever. And so basically I just use kind of like this like little bit of like color skill almost, where using the acronym HOTS, the questions that are just like I can just read it and see the definition, really easy. I just make those like blue questions. Those are just pretty simple, straightforward questions that are in the reading. For these students, like it does take a little bit more effort for them to find it. So that might be just like a green or a yellow. And then for questions where you have to like infer or actually think or use your own experience and apply them, I have those as yellow, orange, or maybe even red, just depending. It's nothing like too specific, but it's just to give students a general indication that some of these questions will be like, this is something we actually have to try. And they have not been used to that this year. There, and I would just leave it at that, and just use this as a base of like a conversation starter of, that big question of, what can these rocks tell you about their history, their story. Maybe fit this in there a little somewhere. And then the next part, I don't know if I will necessarily show it. Oops. If there's not enough space, because you only get like so many characters, I always just delete this first part. And again, there's a lot of kids that actually do use the curriculum. So they really do count on these codes or these abbreviations being there. And for some of the kids, they're just lazy. So as long as you have it posted up and you're just kind of like running through it on the actual document itself. So these yellow ones, these are always just like little, sometimes they are self-contained activities, and sometimes they are activities that, actual like quote unquote like science activities, not really science labs, just science activities. And so these are where you have to like really think hard. How am I going to modify this? Am I even going to do it? Do I just show a YouTube video? All right, so this one's just going to be pretty easy because you're just comparing like two photos. And you might even actually have to, erosion is. They might not even know what erosion is. You can never assume students really know anything. So like on your traditional lesson plans, you would put that up as like a sub-objective. Discuss what erosion is and show them different examples of erosion, even 5 different types, the 4 different types of erosion, gravity, ice. I can't even think of them all right now myself. And I'm sure they'll talk about the different types of erosion, but they always want to try to get them involved with some action first. 2. And then because I'm going to be asking these questions over and over and over again, I'm just going to copy this, put a couple, and then you just have to think to yourself, like, for pacing, like, do I think like this plus the conversation, how long do I think it will take? So this section will probably only take like 3 or 4 minutes. This section might take like 5 minutes. And then this section probably take like 10 minutes, 10, maybe even 15. So I can probably fit another section after this conversation, after this discussion. And those 4 things will probably be a class period. And then from here, if you want to like springboard some ideas just as far as different questions they have about the Grand Canyon. And then you can even set up a little, parking lot or a little document probably where students can actually do a study on the Grand Canyon. If you talk with the administrator, you can maybe perhaps put together a on other years a school field trip going to the Grand Canyon. There's virtual field trips about the Grand Canyon, and you could use the Grand Canyon as kind of like a pivot point of different things to do and talk about as you go through this whole geology type of unit. Ask different questions about, hey, has anybody ever been to the Grand Canyon? Sharing your experience about the Grand Canyon. They may ask a question like, why are sea fossils found at the top of the Grand Canyon? And isn't that weird finding, fish bones at the top of the Grand Canyon? And then, of course, you can always sit there and view the answers to yourself. And then these are little bonus questions. And these are good. Sometimes you can take these and I think these would be just good talking questions. You could even make it kind of silly, if you're coming in from outside, just be like, oh man, all this sand and stuff got in my face, or there's a lot of dirt or something flying around. Those are nothing I would actually put in the for written questions. Yeah, and then if you get into something to where this chews up all of your time, I mean, what's nice about it is just it's cool. Just let it be there, and then if you have questions left over for the next day, just sit there and copy and paste them onto your next day's document. And for the kids that work ahead, just tell them to copy and paste their answers for a different day. So for this section, all I would do is I would just sit there and read through this. I would throw this question in, describe. And then that's just definitely going to be a blue question, because that's just, that just tells students hey, here's some the gimme stuff. And then that will really help you just really find out or really discover as you're grading things, who's just making even any sort of an effort versus who is not, who's just not doing anything. Then here's just another without even reading this section. You could read this, and then if it's going to be a question where they need to Google it, just put that in. Just put in Google this question, or do a Google search. If it is, if these questions can be found in the actual text, then you might want to put like FIT fit found in text, and then that way they know, what to do. But bottom line is you always just want to set them up for success and let them know, in this we're reading for information. So read the question and then, know what this says. I would at least throw in like one or maybe two questions about the actual text, just to make sure that they're reading it. So that's the basis of kind of getting the foundations of this, and then just some different ideas of what you can do from here. And again, a lot of things that I do is just based on like a lot of experience. So that's that. And then, I mean, again, pretty slow today in explaining, but that's basically what goes into like a single day's like sheet. So like about 20-ish minutes without recording like some of those other videos. So that's